Fire up the roof. You've definitely heard or seen the movie Hot Fuzz, right? The action cop movie made by Edgar Wright in 2007? Maybe. I'll take maybe. Let's talk about this movie for a second. Here are the broad strokes. Simon Pegg is Constable Nicholas Angel, a real specimen of a cop, a borderline superhero cop from London who is so incredible at his job that his record-breaking performance has awarded him a promotion to sergeant in Sandford, Gloucester. Lovely. Quite a stark contrast of the hustle and bustle of getting stabbed by Santa Claus. Sergeant Angel is transferred to the countryside for a humbling experience of rural policing. After all, he's making them all look bad. He meets his future partner Constable Danny Butterman, an action movie aficionado hired on as a policeman officer because of his dad, Inspector Frank Butterman. Danny tries to drive drunk and Angel arrests him. He arrests the whole village, but not exactly, on the evening before his first day, because the local pub decided to go and house a gaggle of underage drinkers. As you do. Danny is arrested because of a drunk driving near collision. Sergeant Angel meets the colorful cast of coworkers the following morning as the inspector shows him around the station. 2 detectives called the Andes, quite a few sergeants, including a suspicious one at the front desk with a change in hairstyle, countryside translator PC Bob Walker, Saxon, and one Doris Thatcher, the station's only policewoman officer. Sergeant Angel settles into the rural policing routine of chasing swans for a PI. Staker. Pulling over eccentric theatre directors for speeding who so happens to be the village lawyer Martin Blower, busting shoplifters, eating cornettos, and meeting the Neighborhood Watch Alliance, where NWA. Things seem pretty calm and simple at first, but things take a turn the morning after Sergeant Angel is asked to attend a showing of Romeo and Juliet with Danny by the inspector's request. The play itself was a struggle to get through, to be sure, with Angel sitting through 3 hours of so-called acting where the kiss between the leads the only convincing moment in it. Angel is wrung awake by news of a decapitation of Martin Blower and his leading lady, Eve Draper. Never was there more woe, between that of Juliet and her Romeo. Sergeant Angel is set on task to redirect traffic and requests that Danny not call it an accident, but a collision due to official vocab guidelines, because an accident implies that there is no one to blame. A spot of bother up at Elroy Farm sends Danny and Angel with their lead interpreter, PC Bob Walker, and his faithful companion, Saxon. They need Bob Walker, not the dog, to translate the concerns of the farmer who is clipping hedges that don't belong to him. No, wait, that's it. Angel sees his 12-gauge pump action, confirms the permit for that one. What do you mean, that one? The farmer leads them to a treasure trove of heavy artillery. We're talking handguns, rifles, assault weapons, a sea mine, you name it. By the power of Grayskull, they confiscate the lot of it and fill the station's evidence room with stockpiles of weapons. As you do. Rural policing doesn't seem so easy now. Danny finally convinces Sergeant Angel to go to the pub to celebrate their artillery haul and buys him something that isn't cranberry juice. They get a little drunk, which by that I mean they take a small-statured but very, very drunk refrigerator magnate home to his very large mansion that, quite frankly, doesn't seem to keep in line with a village rustic aesthetic. They pop over to Danny's for another beer, which leads to them watching Point Break or Bad Boys 2. Not which one Angel prefers, but which one he wants to watch first, not pulling his leg. The two have a glorious movie night sleepover while they're a little drunk. Who made his fortune on refrigerators, gets his life snuffed out by an oven. His house explodes. You know, now that I think about it, I don't remember seeing any firemen in Sandford. Just that one fire truck. I wonder what that's about. Sergeant Angel suspects foul play and gets after the Andes to do their job, since they bucked up the theater traffic collision victims, after all, and yet he seems to be alone in his suspicions because most of his fellow policeman officers call accident. Sergeant Angel is pulled away from his spat with the Andes to patrol duty at a fair, and, while there, he is approached by the local reporter Tim Messenger. His tabloid journalism is riddled with typos and misspellings. Tim asks for Angel to meet him in a secluded part of the fairgrounds under the church. However, the church roof is in dire need of repairs. There's even a swear box in the station's bullpen with the proceeds going to its repair bill. When Angel manages to get free, he greets Tim just as a chunk of church roof comes down on his head. What a terrible accident. I mean collision. Vocab guidelines. Right. Speaking of vocab guidelines state that you should fire up the subscribe button. You won't be missing out on any of the gunfights, car chases, proper action, or shit, if you do. Sergeant Angel combs through every article of the Sanford Bloody Citizen connected to Tim's church roof collision. He and Danny work out a scheme afoot having to do with a property dispute involving a refrigerator magnate, George Merchant, God rest him, wanting to buy Leslie Tiller's land. He sent Martin Blower, theater director and lawyer, God rest him, to persuade Leslie to sell. Leslie considers selling her land because Martin Blower, God rest him, was knocking off Eve Draper from the council. God rest her, and Martin found out her land's worth. Tim Messenger, God rest him, told Leslie that her land was worth at least 10 times what George and Martin were offering her. God rest them. So, once all of those collisions happened, Leslie decides to sell her land to some out-of-towners because they wanted to build a shopping district on it. Leslie tells this to Sergeant Angel, who goes out to his squad car to report all of that, and he turns round and sees Leslie having a collision with a pair of shears by a black-robed figure. Wait, that can't be an accident. Angel pursues the suspect buggies immediately, outrun by them. So, naturally, Sergeant Angel tells the whole Sanford police service about Leslie getting into a collision with her own shears. Inspector Frank tells him that he's throwing around wild accusations about murder, but Sergeant Angel is certain. I mean, it's hard not to be certain when you chase a robed figure from the scene of a blatant stabbing. Sergeant Angel isn't only certain, he knows who did it. He and the police service arrived to arrest one Simon Skinner, the resident creepshow running the local grocery store. Simon Skinner, nicknamed Sissy, is a fun runner with the athletic means to easily outrun Super Cop Nicholas Angel. Angel needs proof, though, and the black-robed figure cut themselves on the leg while fleeing the scene. Whoops. Looks like Skinner didn't cheer Carbob's cousin Leslie after all. Angel spools through the security footage and finds Simon's alibi to check out. Defeated, he returns to his humdrum swan chasing schedule. Brainwave. It's not Skinner. Well, it's not him alone, anyway. Sergeant Angel is back and he goes to his CO to confirm his theory. However, Inspector Frank is not having it. He convinces Angel to take a beat and slow down, reminding him that Sanford is a safe place. Hell, it's one village of the year I don't know how many times. Sergeant Angel agrees to sleep on it and proceeds to do so until an uninvited guest appears and tries to cause a collision between Sergeant Angel and a broken neck. Angel smashes him with his prized Japanese piece Lily RIP Japanese piece Lily 2002-2007 har. Take that collision, you wait. What was his name? Michael. Yeah. Angel intercepts the radio, confirms it is Skinner's voice on the other line. Oh, it's about to pop off. Angel tells Danny to watch Michael while he goes off to bust Skinner and his own no. Angel finds a group of black-robed folks at the castle round a circular table. It's the Neighborhood Watch Alliance. They've been scheming right under Angel's nose. While Angel had a good lead on the land baron plot, the real reason for the murders, turns out, is far less complex. Martin Blow was an appalling actor. Eve Draper, well, she did have an annoying laugh. Tim Messenger turned tire-beloved Sanford citizen into a typo-riddled tabloid journal. George Merchant. He has an awful house. The NWA begged in vain for him to change it in order to keep in with the village rustic aesthetic. But what about Leslie Tiller? Her agricultural expertise put Sanford on the map. She was one of them. Turns out she was thinking of leaving, and if the NWA couldn't have her green thumb, they weren't going to let her share it with anybody else. So Angel, being the super cop he is, tries to arrest the entirety of the NWA. Problem is, he is interrupted by the absolute worst person possible, Inspector Frank. Yup, Frank isn't on it. Angel, outmatched and outgunned, seriously, it's like that one scene in Tangled runs away after using Danny as a human shield. Once he escapes, He falls into the catacombs and covers the literal skeletons of the NWA. Turns out everyone Angel has arrested, booked, or received a call about ended up buried in the castle's catacombs. Well, all except for those bloody hoodies. Danny plays a little sleight of hand when he stabs Angel in the chest, affording him a chance to escape. He gives Angel his car and tells him to leave town, and that there's nothing he can do. After driving away, Angel pops into a convenience store, and right there on the movie bin he spots Point Break and Bad Boys 2. He makes up his mind and decides to go back. What are you going to do, arrest the whole village? Not exactly. Here's the action scene from beginning to end. It's not super long, and there's some fantastic choreography in there. Angel systematically takes down each NWA member one by one, convinces the other policemen women officers that Frank and the NWA are murderers that should be brought to justice, and the action scene ends with Angel declining an offer to return to London. After all, there's a substantial amount of paperwork. While doing said paperwork, there's a Kakov's gun scene with that C mine, and Angel ends up in his happily ever after with his partner, Sergeant Danny, and himself, Sheaf, whisked off to deal with some hoodlums messing with the recycling bins in their shiny new squat car. Good for him. So happy. Okay, aside from me gushing about possibly my favorite cop action movie of all time, what possessed me to make a video about Hot Fuzz? Well, the movie's dialogue is incredibly dense. There are a lot of pieces to the puzzle, because this is an action movie with comedy and mystery elements in it. While not exactly a detective story, there are breadcrumbs to set up in the movie dialogue to lead Angel and the audience down the path leading to the false gotcha moment with Skinner. However, it goes even further than that. When Angel crashes into the catacombs where the skeletons are buried, we the audience hear when people, mostly Frank, say little quips about the corpses found there. The farmer with the guns is shown with Frank's voiceover echoing Spot of Bother. It tells us in that moment that everything, even throwaway lines, are in there for a reason. The dialogue in this movie is a bit like the buffalo from those old Native American stories. Not a single bit of it goes to waste. Come on, let's have a mosey around and I'll show you what I mean. In the intro, Nicholas Angel tells us his achievements. This sets him up as an athletic-style character who is exceptional at his job, and also sets up his floor. He doesn't know how to switch off from his all-business policeman officer mode. Don't get me wrong, I think it's amazing. The chief inspector has taken notice of Angel's exceptionalism and transfers him. The chief inspector transfers him to teach him a lesson because, despite his exceptional record as a PC, he doesn't play well with others. He can't be the sheriff of London, after all. There's this comedic bit when Angel gets the transfer news where he informs his sergeant that he wants to go higher up the chain of command because he wants to stay in London. The sergeant tells him that the inspector will tell him the exact same thing, which then Angel and the inspector to have the exact same conversation that he has with the sergeant. This is played for laughs, obviously, but this sets up a pervasive theme throughout the entire movie. See, Hot Fuzz repeats itself. Sergeant Angel gets a call from a Peter Ian Staker about a missing swan that he thinks is a prank call. This one-off prank call joke turns out to be real, which is great of laughs. However, later, when he and Danny go round the shopkeep misunderstands their task, saying, "No luck catching them swans then." Danny corrects her with "It's just the one swan, actually." But this repeats later. After Angel falsely accuses Skinner of being Leslie's killer, that same shopkeeper says, "No luck catching them killers then." Danny corrects her again. Just the one killer, actually, but that statement sticks in Angel's mind. Them killers. And since the shopkeep is a member of the NWA and is later colliding bullets at Angel's location, she technically helps him by confessing to her crimes. I think that the movie, in doing things like this, by echoing itself over and over in different contexts, helps tell the story in a way that allows the audience to follow all of the loose threads. I spent the first part of this video explaining the plot, and it's more than a bit convoluted. Plus, it's all build-up for a 20-minute action sequence where Nicholas Angel arrests the whole village. Okay, not exactly. The point is, when a storyteller is writing their dialogue, it's very easy, almost encouraged, to put in little throwaway lines that are used to build up characters but don't connect to the main plot. Lots of people want to make movies like Edgar Wright, and who can blame them? Every spoken line in this movie has a purpose, some with several.
Well, I'm not saying that you have to go this far in your own work. I definitely don't. It will absolutely help storytellers to more carefully consider what their characters are saying if every single piece of dialogue is engineered to serve a purpose.
A greater good, if you will. If nothing else, it'll make you think twice before having your story's main love interest go on a 4-paragraph tangent on the pickling process of Korean kimchi. Oh, and seriously, go watch Hot Fuzz. It's been heralded by Movies with Mikey as basically the perfect movie.